I'm Wearsberry, and there's no time for an intro in this video because there are so many Easter eggs that we've found in Resident Evil 3 Remake, you wouldn't even believe the number. So, let's get started and show you them all. Starting in Jill's apartment, we see her old beret, we see the picture of her dog that's on her STARS desk, we see a picture of Madonna and possibly other celebrities, and we see some interesting magnets, the rocket launcher, green herbs, Kendo's gun shop. On her wall, she's got a picture of Annette, the STARS photo, and some other things. And then this is probably nothing, but this beer box looks exactly like the eye from RE2. The alien influence is undeniable in Resident Evil 3. All you have to do is look at the design of Nemesis. Even the way Nemesis kills is alien-like, and this scene with Tyrell is a much less gory nod to what the Xenomorph did to Bishop in Aliens. In terms of other Easter eggs, everyone saw this Xenomorph poster in the subway, and we already showed you the coffee shop named after Sigourney Weaver, the lead actress who played the coffee-loving Ellen Ripley.
Thanks for the coffee.
Since then, we also discovered the logo of the coffee shop is the same as the Nostromo logo from Aliens, and it says since 1979, the year the original Alien movie was released. Additionally, the actor William Hope plays Gorman in Aliens.
You always were an asshole, Gorman.
He's also the voice actor for Mikhail in Resident Evil 3.
I am UBCS Platoon Leader Mikhail Victor.
Interestingly enough, in Aliens, Gorman blows himself up to stop the alien. And in RE3, Mikhail blows himself up to stop the Nemesis. And speaking of movie references, the final words Hope voiced as Mikhail in RE3?
Get off my train.
A tribute to another hero, Harrison Ford in Air Force One.
Get off my plane.
Get off my train.
Clint Eastwood's Magnum-carrying Dirty Harry's classic movie phrase is also used in the RE3 record names.
You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
And a few of the subway posters were inspired by real-life movies.
I feel the need for speed.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
If you lived here, you'd be home by now.
Hasta la vista, baby.
In Resident Evil 1, we see a first-person view of some kind of creature coming to get us, and soon it is revealed to be the Hunter. Well, when the Hunters first appear in RE3 Remake, they use the same first-person introduction. Resident Evil 3 shows the civilians of Raccoon City running all over the place trying to escape. If you slow down as Jill and take a look across on the balconies, you'll see two of these civilians suffering a terrible fate. Nemesis was dropped into Raccoon City via a helicopter, and the container he came from can be found on the Raccoon City streets. Jill can even go up and interact with it twice.
This logo. I should have known. Something was in here.
Capcom is famous for removing classic lines from remakes, but in this one they kept in Jill's famous last words to Nemesis.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
However, they put him in a weird point in the game really early on.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
You probably already know that when Jill meets Dario, she can continue the conversation even after he shuts the door in her face.
Sir, what's your name? I can't just leave you behind.
It's Dario Rosso.
When you get to the final line and exhaust everything, Dario says the exact same line he did in the original.
I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters. Now leave me alone.
I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters. Now leave me alone.
But did you also know that if you shoot at the shipping container, Dario has 3 more lines of dialogue that he'll throw at you.
Damn! She's trying to kill me! Stop that! You're gonna hear from my lawyer! Stop that! brother-in-law is a lawyer!
For some reason, the developers of RE3 are trying to make Brad the chicken more of a hero character. In Resident Evil 1, he got scared and left behind all his STARS teammates.
No! Don't go!
And with a twist of irony, Brad is now the one yelling at the choppers not to leave.
Hey! Hey, wait! Down here!
Sadly, Brad has become a zombie. Before you defeat the Brad zombie, if you go down the stairs, Carlos can see the poster on the wall of Brad and makes a comment.
Oof. You look better in the poster, Brad.
Now if you go back up and kill the Brad zombie and come back, Carlos has something different to say.
Sorry, poster boy.
And if you're playing on Nightmare or Inferno, you might have noticed out the window that the Brad zombie is creeping around even after you killed him. And he makes his way back inside to attack you one final time. The Resident Evil 3 RPD part comes before Resident Evil 2, so let's take a look at how they impact each other. First, in Resident Evil 2, we find out Marvin's been injured. And in Resident Evil 3, we find out how that happened. In Resident Evil 3, Carlos finds a uniform under the stairs.
Somebody didn't have time to put his blues on.
In Resident Evil 2, that's the uniform Leon puts on.
Not exactly how I pictured breaking this in.
In Resident Evil 3, Carlos listens to this sign.
All right, you want me to keep out? I'll keep out.
In Resident Evil 2, Leon just goes for it. In Resident Evil 3, Carlos finds the Welcome Leon sign and makes a comment about Leon's first day.
Yeah. Welcome, Leon. Bet you had a kick-ass first day.
In Resident Evil 2, Leon has a comment of his own.
This is not how I imagined my first day.
In Resident Evil 3, Carlos finds a note that warns him not to open a locker.
Better not.
In Resident Evil 2, that note isn't there and Leon gets surprised. In Resident Evil 2, Leon doesn't seem to think anything of the weird doors with card suits on them. But Carlos, on the other hand, in RE3, says what we're all thinking.
Now here's a weird fucking door.
In Resident Evil 2, Leon probably wonders what happened to these guys. In Resident Evil 3, Carlos finds out.
What the hell was that thing?
In Resident Evil 2, Leon is blocked by steam coming out of a pipe right by a hole in the wall. And in Resident Evil 3, we find out what happened. In Resident Evil 2, there's a Nemesis-sized hole in the wall. And in Resident Evil 3, we find out... did they forget something? And speaking of RE2 references, Kendo returns and introduces himself to Jill.
Don't move! Shit, Jill!
Kendo.
The exact same way he did to Leon.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
I said don't move!
In RE2, we saw his sad story with his zombie-turning daughter.
Just give us some privacy.
And in RE3, after not mentioning she was bitten to Jill for obvious reasons, we can walk over and listen into the door to hear Emma inside.
Daddy?
It's all right, Pumpkin. It's all right. That's a good girl.
Early in the game, Brad takes a sign from outside the restaurant and throws it at zombies. But if you look closely at the sign, you'll see Morrigan from the Capcom game Darkstalkers.
Then look into my eyes.
And if you zoom in, you can see the drink names are actually named after her special moves. Later, in the dark room of the RPD, Carlos sees a camera sitting on the counter and makes this comment.
Well, if cameras killed those things, I'd be set.
While Frank West from Dead Rising is a photographer,
I've covered wars, you know.
this is most likely a Fatal Frame reference where you actually use cameras to kill the bad guys. And this is just a small thing I noticed. When you play on Nightmare or Inferno, you see a zombie on top of Moon's Donuts trying to eat the donut. This is another fun one. Normally, when Nemesis isn't chasing you, he just disappears. But if you go inside the toy store when he's chasing you, He'll stand outside looking at you like a creep.
But I'm a creep.
Carlos is quite the character, and his personality comes out if you try to beat the system and hack into Dr. Bard's office without the tape recorder.
Open sesame.
No voice match found.
This is Nathaniel Bard. Open the door, please.
No voice match found.
Come on, let me in, you piece of shit.
No voice match found.
Guess it has to be the voice of someone with clearance.
No voice match found.
A few sources were ahead of the curve on the zombie outbreak, but who's gonna believe a tabloid magazine, and who's gonna believe a crazy guy posting flyers all over town? And when he's in the STARS office, Carlos gets a little cocky about his shooting skills.
Oh yeah, the kid still got it.
Let that be a lesson to all dartboards.
Commenters will cry about developers being lazy, but we know these reused assets were actually done to be Easter eggs on purpose. First are the classic Resident Evil mannequins made famous by the RE7 demo. Next, when Jill's in the parking garage, she ends up driving the same model car that Ethan Winters drives in RE7. The special coins you can buy in RE3 all have a pelican on them, representing the pelican coins from Resident Evil 7, and this teddy bear from Resident Evil 7 is sitting in a wheelchair in the RE3 hospital, symbolizing old Evelyn, who was also in a wheelchair. And I'll give you reused asset on this one, this time-traveling magazine that talks about the Raccoon City incident before it even happens that we've seen in every RE Engine game. This is a little bit of a stretch, but if you go outside Kendo's shop, you can listen to a police radio call.
RPD dispatch, this is 153. I'm trapped in North Garden with 3 civilians. One of us is injured and immobilized. Please advise.
An RPD cop trapped with 3 civilians, one of which can't walk, is exactly the first mission of Resident Evil Outbreak. So is this voice on the radio Kevin Ryman?
Yeah.
You probably also remember from RE2 that Rita from Outbreak has a desk at the RPD that you can still see with Carlos. And there's a bunch of other small references we showed you in the demo. Kite Brothers Railway, Jack's Bar, Umbrella Noodles, Elephant Restaurant, and Zapata Beer. Mikhail's Pierogies across from Kendo's gun shop is named after you-know-who. The RE2 We Do It motto is still in the RPD. Leon's welcome sign was spelled wrong in the original RE2, and we see that they almost spelled it wrong again. Lone Wolf is a character from Force Survivor and ORC, and Blue Mountain is a Japanese meaning of the original RE3 director's name. And it can't be a coincidence that this poster that says disaster is exactly the same as a disaster of a video game in RE6. At the typewriters in the game, you can hear the Resident Evil 3 save room music. And in the RPD, you can hear the RE2 Remake save room music. And in Moon Donuts, if you listen closely, you'll hear the ending song from Scenario B of Resident Evil 2. Three different Mega Man references: Captain Commando, Ghosts and Goblins, Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, 1942, nothing to do with Dino Crisis, Commando, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and pirate ship Hijimaru. Not really an Easter egg, but more of a theory. In RE2, we see a bunch of Mr. X's being transported in a helicopter, and in RE3, we see them, the tyrant creatures, being made in a lab.
Jesus. Is this where they're made?
And then we see some shrink-wrapped versions of them, and we're thinking this is how they are transported in the reimagination. So that's all the Easter eggs we found so far in Resident Evil 3 Remake. If you found any more, like on this poster or elsewhere, please let us know in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to click the like, follow Where's Barry B on social media, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more Resident Evil and Resident Evil 3 coverage all year long.